Hello, my name is Kolo, and welcome back to another Spice and Wolf volume review. Okay, just like last volume review, we'll be doing the same thing. I've written down my thoughts on the volume and the stuff that I think is important that was not in the anime. Okay, let's start. So we make it to Kumerson. On our way to Kumerson, of course, we meet Amarty. They get into town, then they eat, and while they're eating, this conversation goes on with Lawrence mentioning that even before him and Holo met, that he knew that Yoitz had been razed to the ground, and that he concealed this from Holo since the start of their partnership. After that, Lawrence goes to see Mark at his stall. Then after that, Lawrence and Holo talk about how they might get to Yoitz and where it might be. Then they have their little fight. It's not as big of a fight as the next. And the day after, Lawrence goes to see, or he runs into Amarty at the Trading Guild and says his thanks for the room that he gave them. Then Lawrence meets Batos for the first time. Then Batos introduces Lawrence to Diana. Lawrence and Holo meet up back at the inn. Holo, of course, being drunk. Then the next morning, of course, Lawrence hears of Amarty's contract to him, and he goes to meet him, of course, at the guild. Lawrence, of course, accepts the contract. He goes back to the inn. Then Lawrence and Holo see some of the festival. Lawrence gets the letter from Diana. Then he goes to see Mark, and he finally learns about the pyrite and how it's been skyrocketing. Lawrence then goes back to the inn. He sees that Holo is able to read the letter. The letter saying that Yoitz was probably destroyed. Holo gets mad. And in the light novel, Lawrence thinks, Lawrence knows everyone is a child when they remembered or spoke about their homeland. Oh yeah, and the contents of the letter was, Diana said in the letter, there was a monk that lived in a town on the way to Lenos that specialized in the legends of the Northlands, and that Lawrence should visit him. Lawrence leaves the inn. He then goes to Mark's stall, talks about the pyrite. He then tries to come back to the inn. He sees Amarty leaving the inn. Lawrence goes into the inn. The innkeeper gives Lawrence the things Holo wrote down, or she actually didn't write it down. Somebody else wrote it down for her, which was the money Amarty had in total written down. Lawrence then goes to seek out Amarty to propose another contract. That contract being the one that deals with pyrite. Then after that, Lawrence tries to think like Holo when trying to think of a way to get the pyrite to crash, but he realizes his mind is really that far behind Holo's. He goes back to Mark's stall and speaks to him about the pyrite. And while Lawrence is thinking or talking about spreading a rumor, he brings up a tale of a kingdom that long ago met its destruction because of a simple rumor that the king was ill, which was started by a young town boy. The rumor eventually circulated beyond the kingdom's borders, leading to the dissolution of alliances and finally an invasion on that kingdom. After that, Lawrence leaves Mark's stall. Then he goes to see Batos to see if Diana can sell him some pyrite. Before that, I want to say this. Hasakura Sensei, the author, of course, he's able to come up with very interesting solutions and ideas, and the way he writes his characters, they can adapt and move in accordance with these ideas. I can see now that he is a very good writer. Okay, then we're back to Diana. After he speaks to Diana, he goes back to Mark's place. He sleeps there. Lawrence gets up. He goes straight to the selling board. He greets Amarty then Amarty gives him the coins. He's of course surprised because he's been tricked. He didn't think Amarty had this much coin or cash. When Lawrence proposed that contract, Marty claimed to have insufficient cash on him, and he uses horses to make up for the lost coin that he did not have. But he actually did have the money, and he was just lying about him not having the money, so he had more money to buy more pyrite, which meant that Amarty had fooled Lawrence. He's not thinking correctly, of course, now that he knows that he's been duped. He sees Holo, and his mind just races. After that, Lawrence gets his head on straight. From Lant, the apprentice boy, he notices the feathers in Holo's robe, the feathers from Diana's place. Then he goes to sell with confidence. And then, of course, Holo sells right along with him. Lawrence and Holo, of course, go back to the inn. Lawrence explains his thinking to Holo, of course, and Lawrence notices that he did not trust Holo, but Holo did trust him. Then they watch the festival, and that's where the volume ends. I also want to add, in the afterword, Hazakura notes that he wrote without forgetting the characters' personalities. He said in volume 2 he didn't really remember their personalities, but in this one he remembered to write with the personalities in mind. Okay, that was it. Out of the 3 now, this one is maybe my favorite. It just keeps getting better and better. I see that the writing is it's better than last. The last is better than the former. It's very hard to choose, but this is probably my favorite volume. They're all good, of course. So I think I'll end it off here. Thanks for tuning in, and wait for a volume 4 review coming soon.